So skill-based matchmaking has gotten a little out of hand, and there was a great video made by Drifter that we're going to watch together. But before we do so, I just want to say make sure you guys like and subscribe, just like I did over here on Drifter, and I'll have a link to the original video if you guys want to watch it without my commentary.
Hey guys, Drifter here. I've been feeling a lot better lately, and I've had a lot more energy to go out and do more things. And I've been putting some of that extra energy into playing Warzone more regularly, because the original Warzone, Call of Duty Verdansk, in 2020 was one of my favorite Call of Duty experiences of the last decade. It was, for me at least, a lot more interesting than regular multiplayer, so I was really excited to kind of try to get back into the swing of things, to kind of pick up where I left off, hop right back in, and have a good time with Verdansk. But Verdansk just isn't quite the same as it used to be. Much in the way that you can't put the genie back in the bottle or close Pandora's box, the community can't unlearn the modern aggressive tactics that streamers like myself have employed for a very long time.
Yeah, that's a good point. I feel like, you know, we all wanted Verdansk back, and I'm glad it's back. But every player has learned the ins and outs of this game at this point. So we're all going to be better players. It's hard to put us back in the game and not expect us to play at the same level we did, you know, right before the drop of Verdansk, where 5 years ago when it originally dropped, we didn't know about slide canceling. We didn't know about, you know, bunny hopping. We didn't know about any of that. Granted, some of that stuff is not in the game anymore, but the skill is still there, and the POIs are the same, so we know where people hide. We know the corners that you can expect someone to be chilling in. There's a lot of things that we know now.
The map and gameplay may be mostly the same, but the players have evolved. I noticed in my games that almost everyone is playing much more aggressively than they used to. There's a lot of trophy system on vehicle pushes, helicopter uses, UAVs going off all the time. Everybody's fighting over contracts and trying to finish them quickly to get their loadouts. Teams are very fast about finishing their downs, and the mode feels very sweaty.
You gotta hit one of these.
I thought it was just time at play here,
go.
and it is to some extent because I've been out of it for a bit. But I actually think that Warzone Casual mode made this problem much worse. So today we're going to talk all about Warzone's casual problem. But before we get into that, I wanted to give a quick shout out to my sponsor, Logitech G, the A50.
I love you. We're going to skip. As much as I love Astros, we're going to skip. But he brings up a good point there. I didn't even think about that, because I also said, hey, I think the casual lobbies are a great thing for players to come back, but I've noticed a lot of my friends that are IRL players are playing casual mode more than they're playing regular BR. So it's interesting.
For the return of Verdansk. It's a regular Battle Royale experience, but with 120 fairly easy bots on the map and only 28 real players. You get access to the full map, full loadouts, full everything that normal mode has. It's just that the competition is significantly easier until the final few circles, when it's mostly people then. Initially, it seemed like this was a good idea. The casual mode lets players have a place to experiment and learn the ropes of the game. It's also a great mode to go to test out loadouts in a live environment if the firing range just isn't doing it for you. It's fun for people to play that are just super casual and don't have an interest in getting much better. And this is the mode for dads that have full-time jobs. Warzone Casuals is for grad students who just don't have time to keep up with the meta but still want to get some games in. And there's a lot to like about this mode, which is why I initially praised it upon launch, but I did not foresee the impact that casual mode would have on regular Warzone. The main problem here is that the mode ultimately segmented the player base by skill level. Now 100% of the casual players only play casual mode, which means the more competitive players and the ranked grinders are the only ones left in normals right now. Ranked helps segment that too, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later in the video, but for now we're just focusing on normal unranked Verdansk experience. The only players left in normals are going to be significantly more competitive than they were in the past, and honestly even more competitive than they were in the immediate past in the last iteration of Warzone before Verdansk came out. The end result is that normal Warzone just got noticeably more competitive. So to me, normals feels a lot like hard mode. That means if I want to have a casual experience, I have to do so in casual mode and mostly fight bots. I can't have a normal or casual experience without the bots. I can't have that experience with real people anymore.
And to that point, right? None of this would even be a conversation if we just didn't have skill-based matchmaking. I stand by that. I think there shouldn't be skill-based matchmaking. Minus, there should be a protected bracket for people who are clearly disabled or, have whatever going on. There's amputees. There's all these different things that come into factor when they play the game. There should be a protected bracket where if you're under 0.5 KD, you should play only with 0.5 and below. But above 0.5, I think it should just be a toss-up. RNG, just like a Battle Royale should be. Random generated number. Whoops. Whatever. My point being, it should all be randomized.
And this is a sticky point for me personally because I do not enjoy killing bots at all. We talked about this in the Marathon video and in the Arc Raiders video and my old Destiny video. And even if you want to go all the way back in time to my original Titanfall 1 review, I was very adamant that the game would be better off without the AI bots on the ground, but Microsoft just had a huge fixation with their cloud servers and letting the AI be run by cloud, but whatever, anyway. Titanfall 1 was the game where they first normalized having AI players on the battlefield, and my opinion about not liking that hasn't changed very much since then. At the end of the day, I get absolutely zero satisfaction out of killing the AI. It just doesn't do it for me, and
I do think the only thing casuals is good for me, is doing camos. Warzone camos is not an easy thing to do. And so it does make the process a lot easier. Along with, leveling guns is a very impossible thing for a lot of players. It takes a long time. And I'm lucky that I have the skill I have because I can jump in and usually level a gun in one Warzone game. But a lot of players can't do that. And so casual opens that up. Now, I did hear that casual just got a nerf to XP. I don't know if it's as easy as it was, but I don't know. I feel like these are things that we have to keep in mind when talking about PR casual as a mode in general.
I don't even know what's wrong with me because everybody else seems to enjoy this. Everybody else seems very content to load into a game and kill bots that don't really fight back. I just don't think that's the kind of power fantasy that I was looking for in a Call of Duty game. On this topic, I also struggle with a significant number of single-player games because they don't feel adequately challenging. And by that, I don't mean unreasonable scenarios where the enemy's health scales way up and your damage scales way down, or where you have to use the fire-type Pokemon on the grass-type, or when they throw an unreasonable amount of enemies, like hundreds or thousands of enemies my way for me to slaughter, or a boss that's like a Titan with all these superpowers or whatever. For whatever reason, I don't like that. I might have liked that when I was a kid. There's nothing wrong with single-player games. They can be fun sometimes. But the moment I got online and started interacting with real people, the satisfaction of killing bots just completely disappeared. I only had interest in hunting humans. I like to hunt down human enemy opponents of varying skill levels and intelligences that are doing their best job to try to stay alive. For some reason, interacting with other people and hunting real people is always more fun for me, even if I'm not particularly good at it. And
the one thing you have to keep in mind that he said, a varying skill level. A varying skill level. Now, I don't want to, rag on Drifter. I like Drifter a lot. I've worked with him before on videos. But based on this gameplay alone, right, Drifter is using 90 FOV, which is the stock FOV. He's having fun using a crossbow and an AMAX. He's got 17 kills doing it. I gotta be honest with you. My lobbies, I could never use a crossbow, right? His lobby still has 50 players up, 38 teams. He's got 17 kills. And he's using a crossbow. All these players don't exactly fry. Now, Drifter is a good player. I'm not knocking him. But he's not a competitive sweat. And he knows that. It's all love. My lobbies are quite literally the top 1% every lobby. So I personally feel every lobby should have varying skill level, of course. That should be obvious. But for some reason, Activision doesn't see that. I don't know why. Blackout was one of the best experiences because it had that exact thing. Like, Battle Royale had no skill-based matchmaking. You could be the worst, you could be the best. You could end up in the same lobby. All the time. Game after game. The way it is now, it's whether you call it skill-based matchmaking or engagement-based matchmaking, whatever you want to call it. It is totally based on your experience and then time played. If it thinks you're about to get off the game, it's going to give you a good lobby that's a bot lobby. And then, oh, okay, like, I'll stay on a little longer. That shouldn't be the case. It should be, hey, everybody get in the game. Whatever it is, it is. That's how I feel. And the best player wins.
I gotta be real, I'm not particularly good at games anymore, but I would rather lose 10 times in a row and then finally kill a real person than I would kill 10 bots and then
I'm glad he said it himself.
Kill one person or die to a
Feel
person
better.
even. Like, killing the bots is less satisfying for me than just dying a bunch of times to real people. And I'm in a real pickle here because I'm clearly not good enough for normal mode anymore now that the casuals have been pulled out of it. It's almost like the community is doing skill-based matchmaking, but on a voluntary basis. Or maybe it's a more community-friendly skill-based matchmaking problem, because all of the normal and lower-skilled players are now in casual mode, which I personally, as we discussed, don't find to be very fun. All of the players on the higher end of the skill level of normal and up to all the way to being very competitive, are in regular mode practicing for ranked, or they're already in ranked, just hyper sweating and grinding and doing their thing. So to compare to skill-based matchmaking, the community often complains that they don't like the algorithm because it removes the variety in their games, the variety in their enemies. They don't want to get stuck playing only in that bracket over and over again until the end of time, because with the implementation of skill matching, gone were the days of some lobbies being easy and some being hard and some just being kind of normal. They're whatever the game thinks your normal should be all the time. And I think that a good analogy can be made to Battle Royale games, because out of 150 players, you should have a mix of different skill levels. Ideally, you should have about a third of them be casual or below average in skill, bumbling around the map, learning the ropes, stuff like that. Another third of them should be normal, such that that's your average expectation for an engagement. And the last chunk of people are inevitably going to be more competitive, so you have a chance to roll up on some demons. What this means for me as a player is that...
Is this the video or is this my internet?
In any given match, I'm likely to be able to take down a casual team, coin toss on the normal team as my skills are challenged, and then near the end, if I live that long, I get the opportunity to face down some demons that are more powerful than me and see if I've learned anything, push myself a little bit. It's really fun. Since Verdansk is Battle Royale, some of that's inevitably going to be random. Sometimes you'll just land on a really sweaty squad and get annihilated. Other times, you're the sweaty squad that landed on a player that's more casual than yourself, and the cycle kind of goes and goes around, but it does average out over many games to a more fun experience. What's kind of happening right now is that the experience is only fighting competitive players, like only really competitive players are still left in Verdansk. I also briefly wanted to talk about how this game has evolved, and very importantly, how it's lost its survival magic. In my humble opinion, Battle Royale games should reward the last person alive and not the one who has the most kills. Because the magic of these games isn't having a big map and lots of people to hunt down for a high score. The Battle Royale magic always worked best with a mix of hunting and survival. The survival element of the game is a little bit more like survival horror. As a lower skilled player, you're constantly avoiding the better players so they don't wipe you. You're being conservative with your resources because you're not going to be able to harvest a lot, sneaking everywhere, hoarding medicines, and just trying to rat your way into the final circle. But it's a really emotionally intense and difficult kind of process. And that's one of the things that made early PUBG so amazing early on. It was all sorts of gamers coming together of varying skill levels and experiences, and they're all trying these bizarre tactics. It was wild, wacky, unpredictable, And even casual gamers did have some degree of fun trying to survive. But as the streamers started landing at school over and over again and putting themselves through what is essentially a PUBG combat-oriented boot camp, the game suddenly lost its even playing field, and it lost its emphasis on survival and swapped over to who can get the most kills, and then PUBG got a lot more fun for me. This isn't unique to PUBG. Call of Duty Verdansk went through a very similar cycle, and then it was very new. And, you know, these fond memories that I talk about when I'm playing it are with those casual players that were bumbling around a lot more. And typically, the older a Battle Royale game is, the more solved it is as a game and more oriented toward high kill games. That's a topic that's complex enough that I'm probably going to need to talk about it at a different time in a different video. But the older the Battle Royale game gets, it does tend to get more aggressive. So the main problem here is that the variety has been robbed from me and likely from many of you as well, but I do want to add some caveats to this criticism in order to maintain fairness. First, I'm so old, I literally remember seeing Reagan on TV and grew up with rotary phones. I'm also very out of practice because due to my disabilities, I can't grind Warzone for 4 hours a day like I used to. And then third, everybody else has had several years of practice and the meta has evolved to just be more aggressive. So,
not to mention, you know, this really still isn't, you know, OG Warzone. But yes, it feels close. But I mean, there are aspects of it, like the gunplay, that just don't feel the same. And it's hard to adjust to it if you're coming back for the first time in 5 years or 4 years, whatever it may be when you left. You know, even if you left from Caldera to now, it is a completely different game. So, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of predatory systems that have been put in place in Call of Duty, and I love Call of Duty. I'll play it till the day I die. It's truly what I think. But I feel like a lot of the casual players are suffering right now. And I think a lot of the sweaty players are suffering. And there's not really like a perfect answer to fixing it. But I think a good start is eliminating skill-based matchmaking, truly. I really do.
Coming back to Warzone does present a mismatch for me in that I'm much worse than I used to be. But on the flip side, my competition is also much better than they used to be. And unfortunately, I don't feel that I have the opportunity to practice or get better because I can play normals or ranked and mostly get smashed. I guess that is a sort of school of hard knocks, jump into the pit and figure it out, which I could do if I had time for it, which would be lovely. And there's some people in casual mode as well that are a bit more difficult to take down, but I don't find the casual mode experience to be that overall satisfying. It really should be satisfying. It should be perfect for a boomer gamer like myself who needs a bit more of a casual experience, but I'm mentally cursed in that killing bots just puts me to sleep.
But you know better, Drifter. That's why. You know better. You know what it takes. You are a smart person. You play the game. You've played the game for years. You understand it. Whether you're at your best, your peak, or not, doesn't matter. You don't get that same adrenaline from killing a bot. You know, I'm sure there's plenty of casual dads who get home from their 9 to 5, have an hour to play, and they say, load up BR Casual. Because it is the best way to catch up with friends and casually play. I mean, without a doubt. But that's because there's no restriction on skill base. It literally just forces players in. So I think that should be a sign to, you know, developers that, hey, BR Casual is the most played and it doesn't have skill-based matchmaking. Maybe we should do something about that. Also, we have divided the playlists a lot. We have casual, we have BR, and then we have ranked. The player base is very split. It's tough to say, but if you're in the top 1% like I am, it doesn't make it any better, Drifter. Let me just say that. You're still not enjoying the game at the same level. Yeah, I could drop gameplays, but you can even watch my gameplays. A lot of them are not wins. Yeah, I might drop 20 kills, but they're not a win. And I don't get the adrenaline unless I drop 20 kills and a win. So, take that as you will. Also, side note, I know this video is not about this, but the anti-cheat is absolutely horrible right now. It was great in the beginning. Then it eased up a little bit, and then it got better again. But there are people almost every day I'm running into that are rage hacking. Almost every other game, I would say, rage hacking, aimbotting across the map. And they're obvious. They're not even hiding it. I think the number one ranked player in Warzone right now is like cheating since Rebirth Ranked, which was released in Modern Warfare 3. So it's crazy to me he hasn't been banned, and that's a common issue.
What do? Well, I don't have a clear answer for this conundrum, but I did just want to point out that Warzone basically has voluntary skill-based matchmaking now. Normals is an entirely reasonable mode for people to use to practice their skills and warm up for Ranked. Ranked is where all the sweat should be, and begrudgingly, I admit that the casual mode is still probably a good thing and a net positive for the game. At the end of the day, the gripe is somewhat more unique to me because of my issue with bots. I think a lot of the truly casual players just don't care, and they get a lot of benefit out of the mode.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what to say about this other than I guess I'm just going to have to get good and get better, get more used to whatever sweaty environment is left in this game, because that's all there is. All right, guys, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe.
You could tell he's an aged YouTuber because he says favorite. Man, I love Drifter. I hope Drifter gets what he wants. Honestly, I think me and him don't see eye to eye on skill-based matchmaking. But truly, I think that system should not be in the game. And he would feel the effects of his oh, BRs are too sweaty, but casuals is not sweaty enough, go away completely. Really, I truly do. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. Am I crazy for thinking that? I really want to know, because most battle royales that don't have skill-based matchmaking are doing great. I know Fortnite has skill-based matchmaking, but it's a lot looser. And the way they tune their skill-based matchmaking is that if you're a really bad player, you get thrown bot players, like actual AI, similar to Battle Royale Casual. So, I don't know. Food for thought. But like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.